Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. A pretty big one this time out because we have what seems to be a somewhat official lineup of Avatar Studios animated projects here. This is the first time that we're properly getting something like this, and we have to talk about this. So first of all, we'll just go through the image and what it says. Then we'll go back and look at the sourcing to kind of establish why I'm saying, like official, but like there's maybe only some slight questions kind of in relation to that, but it seems mostly fine. And then we'll go into some speculation. So most of it comes from a video. So this is just a screenshot from towards the end of the video when all the information is on the screen. It is this lineup of projects. So you can see here, it starts off with greenlit is Netflix Avatar Book 2 and 3. So after the success of Book 1, it got confirmed immediately for Season 2 and 3. That's cool. It is a kind of Paramount related thing, but I understand why they'd be mentioning that there because it's highlighting the success of the franchise, because I do think that this video was intended to be used to kind of highlight the success of Avatar 2 licensors and stuff like that, to show the idea of Avatar going forward. Second one here is theatrical, so a movie. Aang, The Last Airbender. This is the 2026 Aang movie scheduled for January 30th, as far as we know right now. This logo is new. It obviously matches the working title that we have, but it obviously doesn't say Lost Realm anywhere. So this video was from September last year, so it was only just found now, which I think was before that copyright listing that says Lost Realm came from. But still, we'll talk about this in a second. This makes sense. This is meant to be the first Avatar Studios animated project. And yes, it is a movie called Aang, The Last Airbender, as far as we're aware. The third tile is the Earth symbol, with some generic Earth stuff in the background. Again, we'll talk about that. And it just says new series. This lines up with the idea that we have leaks for the Earth Avatar series. We've had rumors for years. We've known that this is basically what the first series is going to be. The Earth Avatar after Korra, the Pavi show, basically. Yes, this makes sense. Was always basically going to be the second project, and it's in the right position here. There's no further details. They don't give it the title. It doesn't say sort of like Seven Havens or anything like that, but this very likely is what it is. Then, movie 2. So straight away, we know Avatar Studios is already confirmed for 3 animated movies. We've known this for a long time. We just don't know much about movie 2 or 3. Here, they attach an image of Aang walking through some ruins to theatrical 2. Potentially telling us that movie 2, as well as movie 3, are also Aang related, and that it is a properly connected series of 3 movies, which is quite interesting. So yeah, that makes sense, and potentially the placement here of Project 3 is going to be a movie, and they're going to go movie series, movie series, movie series. Also, I think roughly makes sense. Okay. The next one here, tile number 5, is probably the most interesting part of this. It's a new series. So a different new series compared to the Earth Avatar series, and they use the air symbol. So straight away, a few things are happening here. They break the cycle of Aang air, Korra water, Pavi earth. They don't go to the expected 4th fire series. They instead go back to air, but we don't know what it is. Just that it seems to be a new series, that maybe air is related to what's going on. Fascinating. Then there is theatrical 3, so the last of the 3 confirmed movies that we have, and again, another image of Aang, this time doing some action, some airbending in the sky, it looks like, because there's like clouds in the sky in the background. Again, attaching Aang, the visuals of Aang to this movie. Does it confirm, it's a direct trilogy, or just that all the movies are set in the ATLA era? It's hard to say. But I think some of the image choices here are somewhat purposeful, obviously, because these are 2 brand new images, and we'll talk about them more in a minute. The final tile here is tile number 7, is the fire symbol, and it just says new content. It doesn't say new series like the other 2 do. This says new content. And I think what you should be thinking of in your head here for this is that when Avatar Studios was first announced, they said that they were going to do movies, series, spin-offs, spin-off shows basically, and short form content. So by this, they probably mean some sort of a kind of digital kind of web series, maybe some YouTube animated short style things. Maybe it's an OVA. Maybe this is more of a kind of anthology series type thing. But the Fire connection to this is kind of interesting because it feels like it should be Earth series and then Fire series. So what's with the Air series in the middle? It's an interesting point. Now, let's go back and address, okay, that's cool. What's the sourcing on this? Where did this come from? Why are we in any way treating this as being different than some mock-up a fan made? The source of this is this video, Avatar Legends. It's a 9-second video that features the same image here from Alexa Uribe on Vimeo. You do have to, I think, be logged into Vimeo to watch the video, but it's just up there publicly. It's from September, like I said, last year, and it didn't seem like anyone had really seen it until it was discovered very recently. So immediately you should be thinking like, okay, wait, who is Alexa Uribe? And if you look through the rest of her channel here, 21 videos, and it's, okay, the Avatar Legends kind of marketing licensing thing, but then licensing slideshows for Paramount, SpongeBob kind of photo wall, again, marketing material stuff. Pitch video for SpongeBob 25th anniversary, I think, stuff. Again, another thing related to that. Paramount marketing video, another SpongeBob one. More Paramount stuff. It's all Paramount related kind of marketing material, which is an odd choice for maybe a fan YouTube channel. But then, if you go to her very own website, she has a section about work and Paramount, and she says, design global presentations, websites, and marketing assets for both internal and external partners with Paramount. And she includes stuff like the 2024 licensing show in Las Vegas, where she did Paramount stuff, of course. And interestingly, this is a nice connection here. There's some Aang, of course. We do have a news report that relates to Avatar from that licensing expo. There's nothing super significant there, but Avatar was on display to a certain degree at this event from May last year. And you can see here we have these element kind of pillar images, and you'll note if you draw a square around these element symbols, you get the images here. This is exactly those images here. So you can sort of see the connection. She did the marketing material, it seems like, for the Avatar stuff potentially at that expo. And she's also using those same images here in this Avatar licensing marketing thing as well. So there is a bit of connective tissue here, which I think is somewhat interesting. So this person is also, if you look up their LinkedIn, they do official work for Paramount from a marketing kind of licensing point of view when it comes to the design work. So that is quite interesting. The only question you would maybe have in terms of how official it is just the fact that we have not seen that video like posted through an official Avatar channel. We found it directly from her. So the question is that like a mock-up thing that she made herself, or has it been 100% approved by Avatar Studios and it is fully locked in official, or did she just put it together herself as like a test? That's maybe where some of the questions come in. But there's some new assets in there, and it seems to line up with the general marketing aesthetic that they've had for Avatar. So I think it's worth talking about. My general thoughts will be, maybe don't lock in everything, don't read into it like an insane degree, but as an idea, the first more official idea of what actually is happening for Avatar Studios in 2025, 2026, it's a good idea to kind of go off, I think. So it is someone who is professionally involved in this. So that's cool. As for maybe someone doubting, why are there so many projects? Like, that doesn't really line up with what I think. We've always known that Avatar Studios, the aim of it is to have multiple projects. Marketing for stuff like Heart of a Hero mentions points like that the franchise will soon include 4 new TV series and 3 movies. This lineup just by itself has 3 movies, 2 series, and something called new content. And there's probably more still to come that they didn't go into on this specific marketing point. So it all seems to line up. We're getting lots of Avatar content. I know because news has been so scarce, it doesn't seem like that, but we are. That's the idea. So now let's go back and talk about this a little bit more. Let's kind of go through this in terms of what is actually stated in the video. I'll quickly address the other parts of the video just in case you haven't seen it yet. In the background, because again, it is seemingly meant to be some sort of a marketing thing, it also says stuff like gaming in the background, which you can see here. And then as the video progresses, there's one down here, one up here, and one down here. And those other ones say experiences. The other one says digital content, and then the last one says collectibles, highlighting that I think this is probably something that they show off to licensors maybe behind the scenes to highlight Avatar as like a big franchise going forward. And this definitely makes sense. There is a push for gaming, as we sort of saw. Experiences, I'm not really sure what necessarily that is. Does that mean like digital content experiences or like actual like in-person events? I'm not really sure. Digital content for sure for Avatar, and of course collectibles, merchandise is a big one also. And then most notably again, the video is called Avatar Legends, and it ends with a big Avatar Legends logo. I think this is likely highlighting that going forward, the franchise is officially kind of called Avatar Legends, probably more than likely. Are they going to use it absolutely everywhere? Perhaps not. But when they want to refer to the franchise overall, broad scope, Avatar Legends is probably the two words that, from a licensing point of view, are what the Avatar franchise is, because we can't just use Avatar on its own. So this is, I think, a big one in terms of just like, yes, highlighting that the movies and the series are all under Avatar Legends is, I think, a good idea that they seem to be committing to that name. Now, let's go through all of this. So the first thing in the image, of course, is just them highlighting Netflix Avatar. That's fine, it makes sense. It's the thing that already has a track record of proven success. Obviously, we can address the quality of Netflix Avatar Book 1, but at the very least, in terms of numbers and popularity of the franchise, which is primarily of note to probably marketing, licensing people, this is a very good example to kind of highlight. Avatar is still popular these days, and as we go into new content, it's going to remain popular and probably be even more popular. That's why that's here. Then we go into Aang Movie 1. So the big thing here is, of course, the logo. I think it's straightforward to the point, but I think it works. You can tell that some effort's been put in here to give it a bit of a kind of special font treatment here. Will that be the actual finalized name? I'm not sure. In the sense that, like, are all the movies going to be Aang the Last Airbender and then they'll have a subtitle? Like maybe the first one is Lost Realm. The second movie will be Aang the Last Airbender, something else. Who knows? But some sort of a font treatment like this maybe is what the logo is actually going to be. The only reason I think it maybe comes across as not being particularly impressive is that it's just the text logo and that there's no visual attached to it beyond that. Whereas I think we're maybe more hoping that when we get a logo reveal, it is on a poster that includes probably Aang and other characters. So, but as a text logo, I think that's perfectly fine. I think from a marketing standpoint, to launch the franchise again, you probably do need the first movie to have a title like that that is instantly recognizable to people, that says Aang the Last Airbender. They include it here. Maybe for movie 2 and 3, they'll kind of maybe drop that a little bit and they can just highlight that, hey, it's the second movie in the series. We don't need to keep referring to The Last Airbender anymore. That whole idea. But yeah, that's fine. There's nothing really to say here. We're waiting for the marketing to properly officially start for this movie, and it probably should be at the very least by CinemaCon. Maybe they'll do something for the anniversary of ATLA, the 20th anniversary coming up in February, but otherwise I think it'll be end of March, early April for CinemaCon, where something will have to come out, I think, about this movie finally. 3 is they show the Earth symbol, they say new series. Note, they don't specify it's about an Earth avatar, they don't specify an era, they don't specify dates or anything like this, but very clearly the positioning here of this as the second project is the Earth Avatar series that we had rumors about over the last few weeks of last year. Very clear at this point, even though it has not been officially acknowledged. This is probably the first direct confirmation of that, potentially, if you view this as being 100% official, that yeah, an Earth Avatar series is in fact the first series. This is going to get confirmed at some point It's just a matter of when, basically, because, again, they don't want to have giant breaks between the projects, but we don't know what the exact timing is going to be. But I think with a movie, you probably do need a series to follow up not that long afterwards. So that's perfectly fine. Theatrical 2, again, we've known about there being 2 more movies in addition to the first one. There's been back and forth about if they are inherently all unrelated to each other, might they all be from different eras. This seems to, if you treat the images as being connected in the right way, seems to suggest they're all Aang movies basically set in the same era. It doesn't directly confirm they're all directly like sequels to each other, but it certainly seems to suggest that like it's Aang era for all of the movies. And, you know, what exactly does that mean? I think when you think about the first movie and what you want from it, you immediately run into issues of, can they do everything in one movie to satisfy people? Probably not. So they probably want a larger story here. And 3 movies is, I think, a nice way to do it. It does seem to be the case that the movies, they're giving the focus of the movies to the most popular part of the franchise, Aang. They're probably doing this to allow the other projects that are happening to be as creative and different as they are. That here's your solid fundamentals avatar that everyone's going to be interested in, and here's the other stuff that creatively Mike and Brian probably really want to do, and the movies are just kind of, okay, this is the stuff where we just have to get this right, appeal to the right people. This can be where the more of the creativity and the really interesting ideas come out. Not to say that I don't think there will be I think there will be issues with how creative the Aang movie is. It's just that I think we're expecting it to maybe be a little bit more of a nostalgia-driven kind of series of movies, probably, which, given how long it's been since the last proper Aang content, I think is perfectly fine to lean in a somewhat nostalgic direction overall. Now, there is probably a discussion to be had here about why doesn't Korra get one of these movies potentially. Has the Korra movie been cancelled? A Korra movie was never confirmed. Korra was included among many ideas in the early rumors about Avatar Studios, none of which, again, was like super official information coming out. And because of very clearly how in flux Avatar Studios was back during the time when we got a lot of those rumors, it was very clear that a lot of that stuff wasn't locked in. The fact that we're only, like, as of basically today, finding out about what seems to be a finalized lineup of the first few projects tells you how long it's taken them to finalize this list overall. So, yeah, I think it's probably the right choice to commit to Aang as the animated series and do the extra stuff in the series. I think that is the correct approach. I just think that's what you have to do from a business standpoint for the franchise. This, like I said, is the most interesting one here. The air symbol, and it's another new series. So I already talked about how it seemingly breaks this cycle of position-wise, this probably should be a fire avatar, but they're going for an air avatar. I hope, given that all the movies are potentially Aang related, as this image would suggest, I hope this doesn't mean that the series is an Aang related series as well. I'm sure some people will be all for that, but I hope this is something different. Now, does it mean it's going to be a Yang Chen series? I'm not sure. I think that could be a little bit weird to do as well, that she's the other avatar you go to first. My guess here is that they're probably going to go for an avatar from the past. As in, they make this series unique by focusing in on the franchise in a much earlier era. Now, they've got a lot of avatars to focus on here because they've got so much open space in the 10,000 year history. One interesting idea would be to go for avatar number 2, the one after Wan, because Wan is technically a fire avatar because that was his first element. That means the second avatar should be an air avatar. I think that is an incredible concept. The first reincarnation, the idea that the avatar is now this ongoing thing. You have to follow up this amazing individual Wan. What is that avatar's life like? How does the world react to the fact that, oh, this person who was so powerful, they're now reborn? And the building of the Avatar legend, that sounds very, very interesting to me. or they might choose a specific part somewhere in the franchise where some big stuff happens, and they just choose an Air avatar to tell that story with. I think there's a lot of room to work with here. You might think it's maybe a little bit too Air focused, but the big thing here that is different from the Aang era. The Aang era is of course defined as like the last Airbender era. They're like, he's the only Airbender until Tenzin is born. This probably will be an Air Avatar series where the Air Nomads are actually around. And that makes it, I think, slightly different, as we saw in like the Yang Chen novels and stuff like that. And especially if we're in the past, that again is different once again. I think this could work. I just think there maybe are some questions about like, why have they broken the kind of clear cycle here? But again, as fans, we probably need to get out of our heads with the idea that that cycle needs to be locked into every single part of the franchise. Because it does seem like they are doing something with fire at some point. So that makes sense. Air Avatar series potentially could work. I just really hope they don't do another Aang series. Unless they have a really amazing idea, I think we need to make sure the other projects that aren't the movies get to shine and be different eras. We already talked about basically theatrical 3 for the most part. With theatrical 2, if it is just the kind of finale of the Aang movie trilogy, it's more of a thing to talk about when we actually kind of get there and see what the actual plot is in these movies and what they're doing. And again, is it a kind of finale type thing, or is it just the third movie that happens to be Aang related? We don't know. Last one, Fire Symbol new content. Like I said, this could be a spin-off series. It could just mean that the format is different, that they go from 13 episode seasons, maybe because Earth Avatar series seems to be at least 26 episodes. We assume they'll continue that format with this series. When they do it here, does that just mean it's a one and done season? Is it going to be a limited series? Is it an OVA? Is it shorts? Is it an anthology style series? We don't really know. Fire, what do you do when it comes to Fire Avatar potentially? Well, okay, you have a few ideas here. The Fire Avatar after Pavi, that's an idea, going further into the future. We'll see, a bunch of years is obviously going to pass by the time we get here, but that is an idea. Do we do Roku? Not really sure. Maybe there's an idea there, but it's always an option, but not really sure. Zito would kind of be a weird choice unless they've really set up something super well to go here. So I don't know. I really don't know at this point what the idea here is. Like, I could definitely see the idea that the Earth Avatar series probably is actually placed kind of correctly. There could be an idea that the air and fire symbol here are kind of just maybe placeholders and they're not representative for the piece of content, but it's an interesting point. So that's pretty much everything here. We talked about Avatar Legends. They talk about all this stuff going on in the background. The reality at this point is just that we're in 2025. We're getting towards exactly 1 year to go until the movie. They've got to start putting some of this stuff out, like, officially. Actual, like, Paramount, Avatar Studios, official social media channels telling us about this stuff. Maybe you don't want to go super high profile with all of this stuff, but if the movie trilogy is all about Aang, you probably have to confirm that at some point so that the expectation for this movie goes from being the Aang solo movie that will do everything to being, no, it's one of 3 Aang movies. There will be a follow-up to this. That does change perceptions a little bit. Somewhat of an idea about, like, the first series, the Earth Avatar series, how long it's going to last, how many seasons it's going to run, and what the plan is for, like, multiple series ongoing. Like, is there going to be overlap or what? And what is the intent across all these ideas? Or, like, is there a theme across these projects, even if they're all in different eras? They need to, in a way, present this stuff to the fans to highlight what's happening with the franchise, because even something like this is not going to go as high profile as you might think it is, because it's kind of significant big information about Avatar Studios, just because it isn't official. And there's all these like, but this, what about this, to explain why it is or isn't official, until they have something like this up on a social media platform or as a YouTube video officially. People are always going to be like, it's not confirmed, and I don't care until it is confirmed. So I'm interested. I think it's a nice enough lineup. Again, you have to add on to the idea that there is going to be stuff like gaming. There is going to be publishing stuff also that goes alongside this. So it's not that Korra is just being forgotten. Korra will still have comics and stuff like that coming out. We're still going to have the novels, probably, covering, Roku. Then we're probably going to go into Kuruk novels, and who knows what we're doing after that. Publishing is going to be ramping up. There will be other stuff as well. Like, we're getting into big Avatar stuff here. And this is just a more clear, maybe, idea about what the lineup actually is. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on all of this stuff here. What are your thoughts on potentially the idea that the movie is an Aang movie trilogy, potentially confirmed here, a potential Air Avatar series, and then whatever you make of the Fire new content, I especially want to know about. But overall, let me know what your thoughts are on this kind of official lineup for Avatar Studios. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.